Hi, my name is Claire.
I've been working here in Price for 15 years, so I do this. Definitely. Price is very diverse. Whatever you need in Priceville, whatever you need, basically, it's here in the surrounding neighborhood.
Yeah, basically how I got my business started was through a guy named Ben Schottenstein. We all know Ben's was downtown on Central. He got me started, and I started working for him when he was in Norwood. Because he used to open up on Sundays, and Charlie Lucan didn't allow him to open up on Sundays at the time. Charlie Lucan was the mayor. And every time Ben would open up, Charlie Lucan would give him a fine. And Ben would go pay the fine and open up the next Sunday. He kept doing it so much when Ben banned, Charlie Lucan banned him from Cincinnati. So he moved over to Norwood. So I worked for him. And I didn't have any type of transportation to get back and forth to work. As me being a good salesman that I am, I'm making money for him and me. So he looked at me as an investment. So one day he told me to come to work. I went to work early. He took me down to Jake Sweeney. I never forget it. Jake Sweeney car shop. And he asked me to go out and pick out a car. So I picked out a BMW, late model BMW. It ran good. So I told Ben that's what I wanted. He brought it for me, right on the spot, cash. And he told me, jokingly, you have no reason to be late again, or you should never miss a day of work. But Cincinnati can be prejudiced. If it's not your religion, it could be your race. But we have to come together as a community. I mean, that's the problem we're having in Cincinnati. Everybody wants to separate and say that blacks are, they look at us as the pants hanging and the gold teeth and the rap music. Every black man is not like that. But they stereotype us. My son's a straight A student at Dater High School. And good kid. He wore his pants low one day, and the principal told him, talked to him like he was a thug, but a straight A student. And my son had a little controversy with that. I'm going through that right now. But Price Hill need to combine with culture. There's so much culture up here. We got Mexicans, we got Latinos, we got Guatemalans, we got blacks. We got a mixed culture. We need to work together in order for this to work. But because if we keep separating each other from our races and our backgrounds, it's not going to work. We have to come together as a family, because that's the only way it's going to work in Price Hill. So I'm just telling everybody personally, Mr. Ron is saying, everybody work together and we can make it. We could be a very strong community, but we have to work together. Stop separating our races and our ideals. We need to talk to the youth. I think the police officers need to get out like they used to do back in the day on what they call the beat. Walk the streets, talk to the youth, see what's going on. Maybe you can make a difference. It's not only up to us; it's up to everybody in the community to come together and try to make a difference in our neighborhood to make it a beautiful place to live. And that's my advice on Price Hill.
Cool.
If I can, you can.
My dad finally get a phone.
State your name for the camera.
Rachel Barons.
Rachel Barons. All right, and tell me about yourself.
I'm about to turn 43. I got a grown daughter. First generation college student. Got my undergrad at NKU. Got my master's at UC. Working in neighborhoods. Engaged.
So, are you native to Price Hill, or?
My family's from Chicago. We moved to the Cincinnati area in the early 80s.
So, do you identify yourself with Price Hill?
Yeah, I do. And when I meet other people from over on this side, I kind of automatically feel like we're in the same club.
Yeah.
You know, because I think there's something really real about this neighborhood. It is affordable. It is full of a lot of different kind of people, a lot of hustlers. You know, whether they're just like hardworking people or they're people who are just trying to make it work. And it's not a pretentious neighborhood. This isn't really a place where if you're trying to impress somebody from out of the city, you know, you're not going to be like, you know, I live in Mount Adams or, you know, wherever these sort of like higher end, notoriously like cool parts of town. But it's a real neighborhood, you know, and I love the fact that it has this combination of folks who've been here their whole lives. They were born here, they're going to die here, they got married here, they raised their kids here, their kids are going to stay here. New folks, it's got rough edges, but it's neighborly in a lot of ways. People talk to each other on the stoop. People say hi to you when they see you walking up the street. And I really love and appreciate that about the neighborhood. And I love that it's not pretentious.
Through the relationships you've built, what kind of misconceptions has been unveiled?
It's difficult, right? Because it's one of those neighborhoods where I see people's kids playing together. You know, you have a whole little group of kids running up and down the street, and they might be little bad kids getting into trouble and doing stuff they're not supposed to be doing. But there's a mix of color of kids in that group. People do live next door to each other. They're not always friendly, and I know that one of the things that can be really challenging about being here and wanting to be in an inclusive neighborhood is that some of my older neighbors they have not come to peace with the racial changes, the ethnic changes in the neighborhood. And, you know, I think some neighborhoods were a little more, I think of neighborhoods like Kennedy Heights or College Hill, and they have their issues too, right? But I think they were a little more mindful about trying to be inclusive at the front end. When you're, you know, in Price Hill, people tell you what church they went to. Oh, I went to Holy Family, I went to St. Lawrence, I went to Teresa. And I was not brought up churchy. So I didn't know if that would be, you know, there would be all these things we didn't have in common. But I really didn't have anything necessarily to be afraid of on that, but sometimes it does. It comes up a little bit, you know. I mean, I hear people talk about Price Hill like it's this hotbed of crime, and while I'm not going to say everything's like perfect and always 100% safe, it's not, like, I've always been able to, for the most part, walk down the street, and most of the time, most people are decent, you know. Every once in a while, something comes up. Toward the beginning of the 2000s, I did see a lot of the neighbors over on Seton Avenue moving out of the city. People who had owned their homes in that neighborhood for some time were buying bigger, nicer, shinier places, you know, out in Green Township or Cleves or Harrison, and they were leaving the city. And when you have a lot of houses where that happens, it's hard to sell your house for, you know, what you owe on it. And I did, like, by 02 through 05, you could start to see the beginnings of what was going to happen, you know. Properties were getting bought up cheap, And I'm sure there were some decent real estate management folks or people that had like good intentions about, you know, rehabbing the houses and trying to sell them, but they weren't going to get, you know, what was going to happen. And by 2008, when, you know, it's all over national news, housing crisis, mortgage crisis, I kind of felt like living in this neighborhood, like what you just heard, you know, this has already been happening for a few years now. And when my now ex-husband and myself split up, we could not sell the home that we had bought together over on Seton. I mean, we couldn't, and we didn't buy it for that much, but we could not sell it. And fortunately, we were able to do a deed in lieu with the lender, and they took the house, and we didn't have to go through a whole foreclosure process. But we did. We ended up having to give up the house because neither one of us could afford maintaining that house on our own, and we could not live together anymore. And by 2010, you know, there were parts of the neighborhood where whole streets were just vacant and falling apart. And that was hard to watch, you know. Like when we first moved up here, I remember the first couple of Christmases or Halloweens, like people went hard on those holidays. You know what I'm saying? Like there were lights all over, and it wasn't like perfect little like, I mean, it was just like Christmas threw up all over the neighborhood in this like crazy, fantastic way. There was this house up the street from us that, like, they had a tiny little postage stamp front yard, and it was completely filled with every light up Christmas thing, you know. Like there were like 18 Santa Clauses and like 3, you know, manger scenes and like reindeer on the roof and lights all thrown all over everywhere. Or like I remember taking my daughter out to trick or treat, and like everybody on the street decorated their house for Halloween. There were like smoke machines. I remember one house, there was a guy with like a Grim Reaper hood and a live snake, like scaring the crap out of every little kid that came, and their parents were all like, "Good job, that's awesome." But I mean, that kind of stuff was really where I started falling in love with this neighborhood, because it was crazy, in like the best possible sense of like and people were into it, you know, and in on it with each other, you know, right. And it was really so cool. And I kind of changed my attitude, but from feeling like, oh, I'm maybe too cool for this neighborhood, go like, oh, these are my people right here. This is awesome.
I'm Eileen Sullivan, and I really like Price Hill. I grew up in Price Hill. It's a very friendly neighborhood. People watch out for each other and are very helpful, and we are a very close community. I'm proud to be a resident of this area.
Price Hill is important to me because my parents met up here, and they would come up here for dates, the Price Hill Incline, before it is what it is today, and that's how they would spend their time together. Now that I'm older and now have a job, I work at Findlay Market, and I'm able to give back to the community by bringing fresh local produce up to Price Hill for the community every Tuesday from 3 to 6, and I get to meet the community. Last year we had our farm stand down the hill on Grand Avenue, and after school the kids would come to the farm stand and we would get to tutor them. They would come and they would ask for help with their math or their reading, and we really got to interact with the kids on an amazing level. And that is what I'm excited about Price Hill, growing and learning more about it, and then being able to give back as well.
Okay, my name is Mike Smith, and my parents grew up on Summit Avenue, and back in 1990 my partner and I bought a home here on Summit and right at the corner, and absolutely loved it. We left Cincinnati because we were kind of fed up with what was happening around the neighborhood, actually, and eventually moved back to Cincinnati, and happy to see all of this great stuff happening here in Price Hill, and hope it comes back bouncing like it was way long time ago. Happy to be here. That's it.
Okay, my name is Christina Stamper. My maiden name is Hill. I graduated from Oak Hills in 1991, and my question was, what is the predominant race in Price Hill today? When I grew up here 20 years ago, it was most likely a mix of 80% Caucasian, maybe 20% African American. I suspect the dominant race here is probably more mixed at this point, mixed race, present day. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, I'm Dan Frondorf. I live in East Price Hill. I've lived here for 18 years with my wife, Rebecca. We also have a small business that we operate here in Price Hill. I'm a construction estimating consultant. There's a number of reasons we've chosen to live here, not the least of which is the proximity to downtown and the ease of transportation in and out of the community. But it's mostly because of the people. The people here are hardworking, responsible people, and everybody kind of takes care of their yard, and we have a lot of good neighbors, and that's something that we really value highly. There's also a lot of really nice amenities here in East Price Hill. We've got Mount Echo Park, we've got Old and Tot Lot, we've got a lot of good restaurants, the Prima Vista, we've got the Incline House, we've got the Corner and Block Coffee Shop. So there's a lot of good reasons for people to live here, and it's, you know, Price Hill is really an undiscovered gem, and it's something that we feel like we're in on a little secret that not everybody knows about. But I think before too long, the rest of the world's going to figure it out too. The community's getting better. We've got the Incline Theater, which is a new asset to our community, which is bringing a lot of people into the community. And we've got a really nice, affordable stock of really good houses. Very affordable housing in East Price Hill. So it's a great place to raise a family. It's a great place to run a business, and there's a lot of reasons to live here. We get good attention from the city with respect to police and fire and public services. So we're really happy to be here, and we don't plan on going anywhere. So that's kind of our story, and we're looking forward to hearing everybody else's.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Tim Gruenhagen.
All right. Tell me about how did you come to the community?
We heard about an area in Price Hill called the Enright Ridge Eco Village, and it sounded like a really appealing thing. We came and checked it out, and then just really liked the area. We are moving from a northern suburb down here, hopefully soon. We're looking to buy a house, looking for a nice, diverse neighborhood with a lot to offer, where we can raise our youngest daughter.
Hi, my name is Ron. We actually started our business here in East Price Hill on Warsaw Avenue, just across the street from the old Kroger's. But now there's a new Kroger's. We've been out of the neighborhood, but we've been thinking about coming back. We've also lived in this area for easily 12 to 15 years. So Price Hill is so diversified. I love this place, and again, we're thinking about coming back and maybe even bringing our business back. Hey, thanks again, and Price Hill, you got what it takes.
What's the business? What's the name of the business?
The name of our business is called Aunt's Floras. We started in 2003, right up on Warsaw Avenue. We love the community, and we love where it's going. Have a good one. Hope to see you soon.
How long has the business been your business been in Price Hill?
It will be 3 years in August.
3 years. Mm-hmm. Okay. And how has your experience been in the community? Do you get a lot of people from the community, or
I really wouldn't know, because I'm not up at this shop often. I'm at the other location. You would have to ask Nikolai and Brandon those questions.
Okay. All right. What made you choose Price Hill?
Originally, my brother chose Price Hill. and things happened within his life that he couldn't complete his goals and dreams. So I stepped in to help him out, and that's how this shop came about.
Okay.
I've been here for 8 years.
8 years.
I've been up here 11. I bought property up here.
All right, all right.
My clientele as a hairstylist, I have probably 50-50 because I do get a lot of clients from the area. And then I have clients who lived in the area and they no longer live, but they still come back and patronize me, the business, you know.
Okay. What about yourself?
My clients are Price Hill and Westwood, so half and half.
Okay. So the purpose of this video is to paint a positive picture of the community. It's been white for a very long time, and I'll say in the past 15, 20 years, it's been 30 black folks as well as Hispanic has been migrating into the community for whatever reasons, whether it's just because it's cheaper to live, or they might have been in a housing development that was closed and they got brought over here. There's a lot of reasons why people come. We have a lot of immigrants to come to the community, new to the whole city, but they're placed over here. And we got older generation of whites that do not know how to interact with us. So when they see our youth, they're typically scared, scared to walk down the street, and they always voice complaints. So
I have positive. I don't, my neighbors, we're cool, we speak, and, everybody, mind their own business. So I haven't had any problems in Price Hill.
okay. Brandon?
I haven't had any problems in Price Hill either. Been here for a while.
Okay. Nikolai?
Yeah, it's been for the most part positive. But when I did move up here 11 years ago, there were more white people, and then black people started to migrate more into Price Hill as well as the Hispanics, and we've had some problems. But those landlords, because people on my street, we get along, white and black, we call the city, and then the landlord, they sold the property to somebody else. So the last probably 5 years, it's been pretty good.
Okay.
I sat with Serve for 2 years up here in Price Hill, trying to just bring back the community, because for a while there we were the highest crime rate. And working with Serve, I was able to meet some of the white people that sat with the community, the block watch, and come to the council meetings. And some of them are fearful of the youth, but I say this, that they shouldn't just be fearful of the black youth. It goes both ways. And to understand, because Price Hill has become so diverse, it's a melting pot, and there are a lot of different races and biracial children up here, and it's just the way that the generation is. Generation Y, they want to know why, and when they talk the way they talk, like, sometimes they call each other niggers, or they call females a different, a bitch or something. That's the way they communicate. I had to talk to a lady named Debbie that sat with the block watch and explain it to her, because she was really heated. But sometimes you have to let that generation, as long as they're not disrespecting you, I feel like keep it moving. And if you speak, they'll stop and they'll speak. And then sometimes you walk down the street and like, oh, that's Miss such and such, or that's the lady at the booth. You know what I mean? They'll give you the respect. But when we as adults just jump in, like, you shouldn't say that to her. You're wrong. you know, it's a way that you have to go about doing it. And like I said, it's not just the black youth up here, because I know that there's probably 30%, 40% biracial in Price Hill. You know, so that's the advice I would give them. And Price Hill is growing; they're doing a lot, and I don't plan on going anywhere soon. You know, and that's about all I have to say.
Anyone else?
No, you said enough.
All right. So definitely, just to sum it up, it's communication is the problem. They're not taking the time to communicate outside their circles.
Yes, it's theory. Everybody can learn from a person's past, present, and future.
Right.
You know, education is taught every day. But if you're not willing to sit down and take and partake and gather and get that information, you will never know. So, you know, ignorance is bliss.
Yes, it is.
All right.
And our churches in Price Hill, they're diverse. You know, the only churches that really have Hispanic and white members only are the Catholic churches. But the other churches, I go to Shiloh, very diverse. Because you can't stand in one place in Price Hill. You just can't. It's too, everybody's here. Guatemalan, everybody.
Okay.
And they have a lot of good community services for young women, young mothers. They got Santa Maria. I mean, there's a lot of good things. The library is still open. The recreation center is going to be just a wonderful thing to have back, because it's been closed for about 5 years, 6 years.
Okay. I know it's getting close to time you have to part ways. So, is there anything that you would like to sign off with? Of course, publicize your business, but anything you want to, last words you want to give to your audience, which is Price Hill?
I do. That you all, any races, are welcome at Eyelashes Brows and More. We service everyone. Brandon himself, he cuts black, white, Hispanic. I cut and color their hair. I do their lashes. You know, their business is welcome here, and they'll be treated fine coming in the door.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, going out into the community, it's a good thing. Our church goes out, try to talk to people. Like I said, Price Hill is a melting pot, and I moved here 11 years ago, almost 12 years ago, and at that time there wasn't a lot of Section 8 on the east side of Price Hill. When they closed down the Lincoln Homes and the lower courts, it was an influx to the point where they put a freeze on West Price Hill, where they wouldn't allow anybody to take any more Section 8 certificates or vouchers. And, you know, people started complaining about the property, the way the property looked. But my whole thing with that is, how do you take a person from downtown Cincinnati, Lincoln Courts, Lower Homes, and some people never attempted to rent a house and know how to take care of a yard, to plant, to cut the grass regularly. For some people, like myself, it's what's expected, regardless where I live. But with others, it's not always that way. You know, being friendly, like, can I help you with your yard? Or give a young lady some flowers and tell her you got some flowers, you can show her how to plant them. Or, you know, helping, interacting like that, because they were just shifted, you know, from apartment living to renting homes and two-family homes, and not caring about property, not cutting grass, not picking up trash. And that's the experience that I believe that a lot of the white community, they have issues with. Because Price Hill, for the most part, has always been a very nice community. The grounds, people take care of their property. The streets aren't littered with trash. But with anything, it takes time, and it takes people trying to interact with others and teach. You're never too old to learn something new, you know, and you're always young enough to be open to learn something else. So I would just say to anybody that lives in Price Hill or wants to come live here, I love the community. I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. I've raised 4 children in Price Hill. I have a 15-year-old left, and she'll graduate in 2017, go to college. And I still plan on being in this area. We had amphitheater, all of that is really nice. You know, building of the square. There's some positive things giving our youth something to do. And I think the recreation center coming back alive is going to be a big part of giving our youth something to do. Because for so long, they haven't had anything to do. They don't have the jobs programs for the children like they used to when I was growing up, or you had to be in a certain income level to be able to even get a job through those programs. But Price Hill is coming together. It's going to be good. And I don't see it being drama and violence or any of that. It's all about how we interact with each other and showing each other respect and love. It goes a long way.